I just miss you more than anything. It's way too quiet in the house. I'm just wasted on the couch, 'cause I don't wanna feel anything. Wish you'd stayed here beside me. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Wish you'd stayed here right with me. I can't shake that feeling that we said goodbye too soon. before the day begins. Don't go, stay a while, and slow it all the way back down. Time is still and there's nowhere to be. Birds are talking outside, getting space for the words we. If I show up, will you show me right time? If I make you laugh, will you give me some time? 'Cause I know that a girl like you falling in love just about anyone. All I want is just to know you. It's just to hang around and walk in the same time. You remind me of the days gone by, of a real good love to it up just in time. And if I show up, will you show me right there? Will you show me right there? If I